Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric. In this video, we're going to be doing a full-length PPF installation on this 2022 Tesla Model Y. We're going to be doing a bulk installation using our Defense Plus matte paint protection film on this rear bumper. Most of the time we always do pre-cut templates for our videos. I've seen some requests in the comments section to see more bulk PPF install videos, so that's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you guys how to do the rear bumper, and we're also going to do a video on the front bumper, and in a couple weeks we're going to do one on how to do the rear hatch. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. So we're going to get started. I'm going to take my slip solution. I'm just going to spray the whole bumper down. There we go. Now, I'm going to take the squeegee. I'm going to create a dry spot right here. I'm going to take the bulk film and I'm just going to stick it to this dry spot and just going to back roll this into place. Okay, so I'm ready to do the installation now that I've got the film back rolled into place. Now, with a pre-cut template, you're always going to want to work from the inside and work your way out, always stretching the film to your reference points as you work your way outwards. With bulk, it's much simpler because you don't have to do that. You just got to make sure that you stretch the film appropriately across the whole panel and that you just get everything down. You don't really have to worry about reference points and that kind of stuff. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take my slip solution. I'm going to spray the top of the film down in the area that I'm going to be working. I'm going to pull the film back here. I'm going to get more slip solution behind it. Just like that. Now the big thing that I want to work on right now is we've got fingers up here, a lot of loose film, and we've got this over here. This, you'd never be able to get this down. It would be way too hard with all this built up film. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to stretch this out. So if you just watch as I stretch, just watch this whole area. As I stretch, those fingers, they start to all disappear. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stretch and I'm going to tack it down up here, and then I'm going to worry about tacking down to the bumper here. It doesn't really matter if I'm creasing the film here. This is all going to get cut off. Now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to get tack solution behind the film and on the paint, and I'm going to stretch this area out. Just like so. Just going to hold that there for a little bit. That tack down. Now I'm going to come over here, pull the film back a little bit. I'm going to get rid of these two small fingers. Get some tack solution in there. Squeegee that all down. Okay, that's perfect. Right over here. Everything's going to lay down nice and flat, just the way we want. But before I'm going to get too terribly crazy getting everything down here, I'm going to go over to the other side and do the exact same thing. Okay, so now I'm going to pull the film back. I'm going to get a bunch of slip solution behind it. I'm going to spray some on top of the film. Same deal. I'm gonna spray some tack solution here on the rear quarter. Spray some up here on the film. Now I'm gonna stretch this in place. It's good. Now, I'm gonna pull the film back just a little bit. Got a bit of a sticking spot there, so I want to make sure that that's taken care of before squeegeeing down. And there we go. Okay, that's good. Now, if I can get you just off to the side there, we can come to the middle. We've got all this excess film over here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get rid of most of this. So just gonna take my knife. I'm just gonna cut a big giant chunk of this out. Okay, now we're gonna work passenger side over to the driver side. So I'm gonna spray a slip solution down on top of the film. So now you can see over here how we've got some built up film. We gotta take care of this. You can't work with this. So what we're gonna do now is I'm just gonna lift this up and I'm gonna stretch this out. And that's what you want. You wanna be able to lay that film down with no fingers. Obviously it's not gonna stay down. We have no tack solution behind there. There's too much slip behind there. But what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna trim off a little bit more film here. I'm just gonna pull the film away from the vehicle so I don't accidentally run the risk of cutting the tail light here. I'm gonna pull the film back, get some tack solution here. I'm gonna stretch the film into place. I'm just gonna hold it there with my thumb, just like that. And I'm gonna take and lift that up so I can get rid of that little finger that was there. Now, we got this bit of air that we need to take care of. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take and trim off a little bit more of this excess film over here. I'm gonna take and introduce just a little bit of tack solution. Then with my hand, I'm gonna come in here just like this. Just gonna lay this down. In case you're wondering, my tack solution is just hot water. No alcohol added to it, nothing, just hot water. I will link in the description a link to all of our videos on how to mix solutions and whatnot, because I know that question gets asked on almost every video. Now I'm going to take and pull all of this down right to this body line, and I'm going to push it out over here. You don't want to, when there's so much tension on the film, you don't want to take all this solution and pull it down over this body line. You could potentially run the risk of damaging the film. So right now, we're just going to get this section done. We're going to push all the moisture out over here where it's got a place to go. Okay, that's good. Now, I'm going to take my knife, I'm going to come over here to the middle, and I'm just going to make a relief cut. And I'm going to cut off a big chunk of this excess film. want to get more slip solution on top of the film. Make sure everything is down the way it should be. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start over here in this corner over there, and I'm going to have my squeegee angled so that my solution is going to be coming down. And I'm going to come along this body line, just like so. I'm going to come right to about there. Okay, now we need to take care of this. There's a lot of built-up film over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off as much of this as I possibly can without cutting into the plastic. Just like that. Get this all squeegeed down. Okay, now this little area here, I'm just going to take some tack solution. I'm going to spray this area out. Now, I'm going to take my squeegee and I'm going to come down at an angle because there will be minor fingers popping up here, nothing major. Just going to do this at an angle. I always like to squeegee fingers down at an angle to prevent them from coming back up in the future. We'll introduce a little bit more tack solution here just to make sure that the film is adhering. Now, because this is a matte PPF, obviously you want to try and get the best coverage possible. So I'm going to try and make sure that I can get that film around those edges. I'm going to do a little bit more coverage than what you would normally do on a typical pre-cut template. There we go. So this is all done. What I'm going to do over here, because this rear quarter is, it's not, the rear bumper is not flush with this rear quarter, so with all this film over here still intact, it's very hard to get this to lay down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here, and I'm only going to stick the knife blade out just a little bit, and I'm just going to make a relief cut. And then I'm just going to pull this film away from the vehicle as I cut away a bunch of this excess material. You don't want to run the risk of accidentally cutting into the PPF that's on that rear quarter. So now that I have that gone, all I can do is I just pull this film back, spray tack solution in here. You see a minor finger popping up, that's fine. I'm just going to take that down at an angle with the squeegee. I'm going to come along here, pull this back, get a little bit more tack solution. There we go. That's going to stay there until, just like that, until we do our final trim. Now we'll start working our way over to the driver's side. Okay, so now we're going to do this middle section here. Just going to get some more slip solution on top of the film. I'm actually going to pull the film back and get a bit of slip solution behind it as well. Go. So just feeling it over here, I notice I have a little bit of contamination. I'm going to squeegee it down. You can actually see right over there. Not sure if the camera's picking that up. There's some little dots. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull the film back and I'm gonna try and flush them out. These pressurized tank sprayers, they're amazing to work with. I'll link in the description down below where I picked this up in case you're interested and you want to get one for yourself. Okay, now there we go. Perfect. Now all we're going to do is just squeegee this down over here. This middle area is really easy to do. I'm going to come over here to the top. Same thing we did on the passenger side. I'm going to stretch this out so we can get rid of this built up film. We actually have a sticking spot right over here. This is kind of right in the middle of where I want to work, so I'm going to show you guys how I would deal with that. I'm going to try and come in from the bottom. First, I'm going to take and trim off a bunch of the excess film like I did on the passenger side. Just so I have better access. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the film back. You don't want to pull on it too terribly much when you start to see it flex like that, because then you're going to run the risk of damaging the adhesive. So just want to come in from the bottom there and slowly peel that back, just like so. Okay, now what we're gonna do, come on, stay down, is I'm gonna take my knife make a relief cut here. Spray a bit of tack solution right there. And we're going to stretch this out as well. Just like that. That's good. Now, same thing. I'm going to remove some excess film here. Okay, so I got some more slip solution behind here. So we want to take care of this corner, and I'm going to relief cut this same way I did on the other side. Now, and get some tack solution in here. And I'm going to come over here from the driver's side and I'm gonna run my hand in there, and I'm going to keep that down. Just like so. So that's down. That's good. I'm going to come over here. We have some film that we need to get out there. Oh, and we're getting air from this side. I'm not going to cut this out. I'm going to show you guys how to deal with this. Sometimes this kind of stuff happens. And just going to show you guys how I deal with this when it happens in the middle of my own installation. because we're all about transparency on this channel. Okay, same thing. I'm just going to squeegee down to this body line. We're going to take care of this corner. A piece of contamination right there. Okay, now I'll get you on the other side. Now we're going to get this area down right over here. All I'm going to do is just get a little bit of tack solution down behind the film. Now we're going to take and squeegee everything down and out from below this body line. Always want to make sure you're overlapping your squeegee strokes. That's going to be the biggest thing that you can do to prevent any moisture being left behind. I have a piece of contamination there, I just popped out. Now, we can get this film to lay down. I'm going to hit this at an angle. Just taking my squeegee, making sure the film is properly wrapped around that lip on the bottom. Okay, now that this is all done, what we're going to do is we're going to start wrapping the film inside the rear hatch over here. Once that's done, what we're going to do is we're going to do all of our finishing edges and stuff like that. And that's where doing a bulk PPF install, that's where it's a lot more time consuming than doing a pre-cut pattern. So we'll get doing this then. Okay. So I'm going to take the film, pull it back. I'm just going to get some tack solution in this bottom edge. I need to flush out all this slip solution that's left. So right now what I'm doing is I'm taking my squeegee at an angle and I'm putting a lot of pressure on this edge. And I'm just gliding the squeegee along this edge to make sure that the film is going to be down. Actually, need to do a bit more of a relief cut right here. Okay, now the fun part, the finishing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come right up over here, right at the corner, and take my knife and I'm going to cut a line up at an angle, just like that. And I'm going to start to figure out how much I can wrap. I want to start to get rid of as much of this excess film as possible, but you need to try also determine how much coverage you want. Because this is matte paint protection film, you always want to make sure your edges are completely wrapped. You don't have to wrap too terribly much past the edge to have that nice aesthetic look, but you also want to wrap as much as possible. Over here on the very bottom, this area will be prone to being damaged if you're going to be taking things in and out of the back end of the Tesla here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come right over here, take my knife, and I'm going to cut about half of this unnecessary excess film off. I'm going to try and make this as even of a cut as possible. go. You can see as I started to take away all that excess film, how this wanted to start to lay down all on its own. That's perfect. We're gonna get this area down as we work our way around these corners. Actually, you know what? No. I'm gonna start up over here and get this whole area down before I go into the middle. So the biggest area of concern is gonna be this corner over here. So what I wanna do is, I'm just gonna get tack solution. I'm gonna spray it behind the film. I'm gonna get that slip solution that's behind there out. Now what you're gonna wanna do, with one hand, you're gonna wanna hold it so there's tension on this film. And then just with your other thumb, you're gonna come over here, you're gonna start at this corner, and you're just gonna go up and down and slowly start to wrap the film around that corner. You may need to end up having to do a relief cut there, but if you can get the film wrapped around that corner before having to do a relief cut, that's gonna be huge. Now I'm gonna come over here to the top, just back and forth with my thumb. Got that wrapped. I'm gonna follow it up with the squeegee as well too. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come about right over here and make a relief cut. Actually, I'm gonna make that just a little bit bigger. Just like so. Now I'm gonna get this area down. I'm gonna forget about this for now. So the big thing you wanna do here is you wanna get as much of this down and wrapped just with your thumb before you come in with a squeegee. Like so. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the knife, I'm just going to cut off a bunch of this excess film. Just like so. Okay, now what I want to do is I'm just going to take and pull this film back and get all this solution out of here. There's so much of it, it needs a place to go. Now we're going to spray our tack solution in here. I'm going to start here in the middle, and I'm just going to run my squeegee right along this back edge. Squeegee that down. I'm going to have my squeegee angled so everything is being pushed out. A little bit of contamination that came out here from behind that seal. That's the thing when you're doing a bulk installation. If you're doing a bulk installation on a vehicle that's been driven a lot and seen a lot of mileage, it's very hard to always get that surface 100% clean. So instead of trying to pull that contamination up, I'm actually just going to come here from the bottom, I'll pull the film back, and I'm just going to pop that out the bottom. Just like so. There we go. That's gone. Now I'm going to trim off some excess here. all squeegee down, just the way we want it. We'll come back and we'll do all the finishing trims after. Now I'm going to come back over here. We'll do the driver's side. Taking the thumb and running this thumb right up and down along this edge. There we go. Now, what I'm going to do, get a bunch of tack solution here. Drain it. There we go. And I'm going to come along from the center. There we go. That's all down. Okay. That's good. We got the whole bumper installed now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the knife and I'm going to go around and trim off all the excess film. Okay, so now I'm about to start trimming the paint protection film, but right over here I know that the film is not down. So what I'm going to do is, because I know that this film it's installed, it's not going to be going anywhere or pulling back. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull the film back carefully over here. And I'm going to get my tack solution. I'm going to flush this area out. I'm just going to come in with the squeegee this all down. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to start trimming. I'm going to start from this corner and I'm going to work all the way around the bumper, and then we're going to come back and we're going to end right over here. So we're going to speed up the majority of this because it's going to take a long time to trim this all properly. So when I'm trimming bulk, before we get into trimming, I'm just going to explain my reasoning as to why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm not going to try and get the film to wrap around inside of that edge. Because of how thick paint protection film is, once it meets up with this rear fender paint protection film, if it was wrapped inside of there, over time as the vehicle drives, with all kinds of vibrations and everything, the film would start to lift up. So I'm going to actually come back a little bit further and avoid that. If this was vinyl, you can get away with getting the film in there. It's a much thinner material, but with paint protection film, that is why I'm staying a little bit further away. So, just very carefully, moderate pressure. You want to hear that screeching sound. That's the perfect noise, because that noise means that you're going about 3/4 way through the film and you're not touching any of the paint. Once that screeching noise goes away, you're either not having enough pressure or you're going all the way through. So I backed off my pressure here a little bit. Anytime you're trimming, you always want to try and avoid your distractions. Make sure you have your cell phone ringer off. You're not taking any calls. Doors locked. Nobody's coming to bother you. I realize I'm doing this while talking, but I'm just trying to get the point across. Now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to work this corner a little bit. Trying to stay on top of this edge. just take and control my cut as I go around the corner. That's good. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel off all the excess material all the way till there. So, as I'm pulling up, and I'm also pulling back away from the bumper in case there's an area where I did not cut deep enough and I have my hand at the wrong angle. I could accidentally tear inside this bumper, and then we got to redo it all. So that's why I'm pulling up and back, because if all of a sudden we get to a point where it pops back like that and it pulls or it tears, it would tear up over here, and that's fine. We can always come back and redo it, that area. We can't redo the whole bumper. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Now we're going to continue working our way all the way around. So now right over here on the inside, you're going to see how the PPF is overlapping itself. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to come over here and I'm just going to trim this out. With my thumb. That's fine. Now, I'm going to come along the top here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come right over here. I'm just going to I'm using my middle finger as a guide along this piece over here. That's going to give me a nice straight cut. There we go. Now, same thing we're going to do right over here is I'm going to do a small relief. There we go. Now, I'm going to come along here like this. Top here. There we go. Now we're going to speed everything up. Okay, before I continue trimming, I'm going to take my blade snapper right here and I'm going to get myself a fresh blade. You always want to make sure when you're doing a bulk installation, when you do your trimming, you want to have really sharp blades. If you have a dull blade, you're going to end up using way too much pressure and you're going to run the risk of cutting through the film and into the paint and leaving knife marks, and you don't want to do that. So I'm going to start up over here and we're going to continue working our way around. So come up here. All right, now that I've got all the PPF trimmed off around the outside of the bumper, now I'm gonna take and trim out all of these sensors. So I'm only gonna show you in depth how to do 1 or 2 of them, and then the rest will all be sped up. So I wanna make sure my blade is about, I got about 1 blade, 1 snap off blade out. Now, this could be hard to show, but I like to start at the top, and I like to do this in halves. So I like to come and just do a nice, slow, consistent cut all the way around. And I like to come back up to the top and do the other side. And pop that out. That's 1 sensor, 5 more to go. It's hard to talk while doing sensors. You're so focused. Okay, we'll do the rest. Okay, now we're on to the last part of this installation. We're gonna go around post heat all of our edges. So I got my heat gun over here. I'm gonna put the heat on high. Now I have a rag. This rag is damp. I want it to be damp and not dry, so I need it to slide properly. So all I'm gonna do, and I've done separate videos on how to post heat edges, and I'll link those in the description below. But all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take and heat up this edge, for example. Always making sure the heat gun is still moving. It's never stopped in one spot for too long because you don't want to run the risk of damaging the film. I'm just going to come along with the rag and my finger, and I'm just going to press this down. So this is arguably one of the most important parts of a PPF install, is the post heating. This is just going to ensure that the paint protection film is on. There's no fingers that are going to lift up later on. And if you're doing this on a customer vehicle, this is basically like your insurance that the job is not going to come back for any warranty or repair work. So the rag is there to soak up any moisture that gets pushed out from behind the film. Before I get too carried away, I got to do my sensors. While I'm also doing this, I'm also looking for any moisture bubbles that may have been left behind. And I found one there, and I know that there's a couple other ones. I'm gonna address those after I'm done the post heating. All right, so the very last thing, and I mean this, the very last thing that we're gonna do is we're just gonna pop a couple moisture bubbles that I found. So we got one right over here. I mentioned that before. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna push this up. I'm gonna build some pressure behind it. I'm gonna come in with a diabetic's needle, just a small little needle. And I'm gonna prick a small tiny hole at the bottom of that bubble, and then just with the rag and that needle still in there, I'm just gonna press down over top of it and get rid of all that moisture. You're not gonna see that. And then we'll come over here. We got a couple little ones right over here. Those will probably be more visible. Same thing. Prick a tiny little hole and press that out. And there we go. That is how you do a bulk rear bumper PPF install on a 2022 Tesla Model Y. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, make sure you leave a like, leave a comment down below with what your thoughts are on the video and whether you have some constructive criticism or any other suggestions what you would like to see in future videos. And make sure you subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more PPF content. Now before you go, I just want to let you guys know, us at Drive Protected, we just launched our own car care line. So if you head over to driveprotected.shop, I'll have the link in the description of this video. You can check out our new amped all-purpose cleaner, megawatt foam soap, and our recharge ceramic detailing spray. Make sure you use code PROTECTED and you will save 20% on your order. Thanks again.